All right, we are back with another bowling terms video. We're going to be talking about reaction terms or things used to describe ball reaction and some of the kind of weird ones. So these are things that you may not be able to decipher or figure out by looking up a definition or maybe even the context, because it might be a broader term or kind of vague. Not trying to read a lane graph in this one either, so it will be somewhat on the lighter side, but we'll still be talking about ball reaction terms too. I'll try to keep it from getting too dense. Required watching for this one is the first video in the series here. Might lightly touch on some of the stuff from the lane graph video, but I'll use a lot of terms from the first video. So let's get started with the easy stuff. Trip 6 or trip 4. That just means that the ball went a little high and tripped or knocked down the 4-pin for righties or the 6-pin for lefties. That one's kind of an easy one. Drive-by. This one is typically in reference to a strike shot being thrown where the ball drives by the 9-pin for a righty or drives by the 8-pin for a lefty. So the ball continues through the pins a little too strongly, drive-by. This can also mean missing a spare by driving by it or hooking past it. The most common use, though, is drive-by 9. Next one is plaque 7 or plaque 10. This is when the ball hits the pocket flat enough that the hit literally sounds different. It almost sounds like slapping two 2x4s together, kind of a smacking sound. We can also combine this with wrap 10 or wrap 7. You're still leaving a corner pin either way, but you're describing how it happened, because these can result in really different adjustments or maybe no adjustment at all. Plaque 10 is also flat 10, just plaque is a more artistic term. That describes the ball giving up, rolling out, puking, etc. Just a bad hit that most of the time means you either need to make a significant adjustment, ball change, or both. A wrap 10 is what happens when the ball does get through the pins with energy and authority. It just went a pinch too long and got behind the head pin. That's another one that we'll talk about next. Wrap 10 usually just means that there's a touch of carry down. There always will be, no matter how much a ball flares, just, because a ball will push the oil as it's traveling through it too. But you're still talking about good ball reaction, just the ball going a touch too long or finishing a bit too late. So it just wraps around it and it just kicks the 6 around the 10 really fast instead of the 6 just kind of dying in the channel. Or the ball on a wrap 10 will still continue through the pocket most of the time. A ball on a flat 10 or a plaque 10 will hit the pocket and kind of deflect. So a wrap 10 just usually requires a small adjustment, or even just staying put for another shot or two and letting the lanes or the transition come to you rather than trying to chase carry too quickly. I threw a bunch more at you there, but let's do getting behind the head pin first. So getting behind the head pin just means the ball is going a little too long or it's reacting a little too late. It means instead of the head pin going straight into the 2, which goes straight, so the head pin goes straight into the 2, which means the 2 goes straight into the 4, and the 3 going straight into the 6, the head pin goes more sideways. So instead of going straight into the 2, it kind of hits the 2 more in front. So the 2 pin, instead of going into the 4 pin, it might go straighter back into the 8 pin rather than going into the 4. So the ball kicks the 3 straighter back as well, more into the 9 pin rather than the 6. It'll go straight back. So it clips the 6 pin on the side. So the 6 pin will go sideways in front and around the 10. Getting behind the head pin doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be a flat hit or a strong hit. Just means the ball is going too long. It doesn't really describe the shape it's in at the pins. Now, letting the lanes or the transition come to you, you ever notice sometimes that the ball reaction seems really good, but you can't quite get the pins down, or the carry is a little bit rough, but you feel good about your ball reaction? Carry is another one. Carry just generally means getting all the pins to fall down when you hit the pocket the right way in the right place. That's when people, that didn't carry. That means that they thought that the ball should have knocked all the pins down, but it didn't. So sometimes you just can't get the pins down. Carry's a little rough, but you feel good about your ball reaction. Some people will let the lanes come to them, meaning as you continue to bowl, the lanes continue to transition. You get a little bit more friction out there, or you let the condition break down or settle in a little bit. The ball starts blending a little bit more instead of being so sharp down lane, and all of a sudden you start carrying, even though you didn't adjust anything or move at all. You just let the lanes or let the transition come to you. Chasing carry is generally a negative term. It means making too much of an adjustment too quickly, trying to get all the pins to fall down. Adjusting to get pins down is fine, but chasing carry generally means that you start playing the lanes ineffectively, which typically causes negative or difficult transition later, or just puts you in a bad situation currently. If someone says they lost the look because they were chasing carry, it means that they made too big of an adjustment trying to strike and actually made it worse. Chasing carry typically also means you were hitting the pocket, but you just weren't carrying. Otherwise, you'd be chasing the look, because if you can't hit the pocket in the first place, you're not in any shape to worry about carry yet. Once you find the look or have the look, which means good ball reaction, means you're in the right place and have good reaction, just need to make the shots, then you can worry about carry. Chasing carry can again mean that you have a good look, but you're giving up that good look trying to chase strikes. Now, beyond that, it also typically means that you're already striking quite a bit to begin with. You're just trying to nail down the random 10 or the random 4-pin or the wrap 10, and are just being impatient or paying too much attention to the scoring pace. Sometimes it's important and necessary to stay in the pocket, and sometimes it's difficult to get the ball through the pins right. You may not be carrying everything and want to get more hits, but nobody else may be carrying any better than you, so sometimes you just have to accept it. Getting the ball through the pins right, this is closely associated because it means that you have a look, but you're not carrying shots you think you should be carrying. Typically, when people say this, it means they really like their ball reaction and they don't want to adjust or change balls, but the ball just isn't going through the pins effectively. Maybe you like the look, but the ball is too continuous, so it keeps driving by the 9. That means it's not getting through the pins right. So you move in a little bit or get more up the back of the ball, then you might start leaving plaque 10s or getting behind the head pin because you chased carry instead of letting the lanes come to you. Sometimes a ball is flying on the back end to start the set, which means it's really sharp or really angular down lane. But once the back ends settle down, the ball reaction gets a little earlier and smoother, and instead of driving by the 9, it starts going through the pins right. This seems like a good time to talk about reaction terms now, such as clean, chuggy, heavy rolling, rolly, so on and so forth. Clean is clean. A ball like the Typhoon is clean. It means it glides down the lane very easily. Clean through the fronts, now that you know what fronts means, means the ball is very easy down the lane. It doesn't dig in. It doesn't hook early. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't chug. It doesn't roll heavy. And you can see the ball just glides down the lane. Even for somebody like Zach, who creates a heavy roll, who really rolls the ball and revs it up, I'd call the Typhoon a rolly, rounder shaping, continuous ball. Rolly balls are like the IQ Tours, Vibo, Ocean Vibe, Envy Tour, etc. They spin and rev up, but are still kind of the same all the way down the lane. They just roll and roll. They don't really slow down. They don't really rev up tons. And even when they are stronger on the back end, they're not necessarily sharp. They just roll. Rounder shaping talks about the roll as well. It's not the hockey stick reaction where it's more of an angle. It's going down the lane and then it stops and goes. The hockey stick is it goes down the lane and then it stops and instantly goes straight in another direction. If you draw a line on a sheet, it looks like a hockey stick. Rounder shaping balls have a rounder ball path going down the lane. We talked about forward and continuous in the first video, so you should have a good idea of that now. Now, chuggy is the opposite of clean, and this is a definition term. When you say something is chuggy or chugging along or a chug boat, what does that make you think of? It's the opposite of clean. A ball that chugs or is chuggy is one that hits the lane and instantly tries to start slowing down, like an Arctic vibe. It looks like it's extra heavy, and slowing down and heavy or heavy rolling are also dictionary terms. Slowing down means that the ball is getting traction and creating friction, and the speed the ball is traveling is actually being reduced. This is why when people ask for a bowler's speed and then ask off the hand or at the pins, that's because it's a different speed. When something encounters friction, it literally slows down. It loses speed. Balls that are chuggier or heavier rolling lose speed faster. Something that's chugging along isn't in any hurry to get anywhere. And when you watch something moving that's heavy, it's obviously harder to get it moving or move it quickly. Something heavy rolling literally looks like it's rolling heavy. It looks like the ball weighs more than it does, like it's trying to dig through the lane and just wants to grind to a halt. I'd call the Arctic vibe a chuggy, heavy rolling, tumbly type of reaction because as soon as it hits the lane, it's chugging. It looks like a super heavy ball, and it looks like it's tumbling. Tumbling is another dictionary term. It's not revving up or starting to spin faster. It's just kind of ambling along. And think of a big heavy rock tumbling down a hill. It's just kind of bouncing and tumbling along. Thumbed it or thumbing it is almost like throwing a knuckleball. You're not keeping your hand soft and letting it roll off or lifting it with your fingers so that you get the rotation on it. You're kind of muscling it or grabbing it and trying to rotate it with your whole hand. And then then you kind of flick it off, which makes your thumb go down. So again, instead of letting the ball come off your hand and lifting, you kind of break your wrist and fling it off. This can kind of cause the ball to bog down and puke because it's not getting off your hand clean. It's kind of like gripping a golf club too hard when you're swinging. It kind of kills the energy, so to speak. The last one here is throw 9, get 9. Typically, it's used ironically. Like when someone throws it really well and drives by a 9 or wraps a 10 or has a high flush 7 or a stone 8, that's when you'll hear it. Everyone knows it's a good shot. You still left a pin, and then you hear throw 9, get 9, and everybody laughs. It's a joke. It means you knocked 9 pins down, so it must not have been as good a shot as everyone thought it was after all, even though everyone thought it should have carried. So that's going to do it for the bowling terms that I've got right now. I covered a bunch of them, but there's still tons more out there, so I will make, again, as many videos as I have to kind of wrap this whole thing up. If you have more terms, put them in the comments below. And if you are watching the video, before you put a comment of something down, somebody else might have already suggested it, or it might be, I might cover some of these in the comments. Some of these might be really easy instead of making an entire another video about it. And so if you think that I missed something or you didn't hear something, drop down in the comments, because somebody else might have already put something down there. We might be having a discussion about it and might have already explained it in the comments to begin with. So make sure you drop down to the comments and either add something or check out all the other things that have been added. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.